Order of the Griggs County Commission. Stand for pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to say one thing about the haircut. Cuts down on the shampoo.
Yep. Don't have to spend much time in the shower either.
Don't have to spend much time. It goes pretty fast.
Friction too, you can run faster.
Yeah.
More aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Can't run my knee shot. We'll do a roll call. John.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Sean is absent. Troy is here. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Can I get abatement of the taxes of the county property that we sold to the city? We could get that added to the
Need to
agenda.
abate the county portion of taxes on that lot? Or do you just want to bill them for them?
We better put it on the agenda so we can talk about it.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
So Samantha would like that added to the agenda. Anything else?
Move to approve the agenda with the addition of the abatement of taxes on the lot we turn back to the city.
I'll second.
Been moved by Dale, seconded by Mark to approve the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Minutes from November 22nd.
Everybody, with page 3, the top of it, we better do something. Chairman Olson opened the floor to discuss the county deed. I think we need more explanation than that. Open discussion to discuss a deed as it pertains to a tax sale. It's not
Or
a
else
county
put the
deed.
parcel number on there.
Yeah.
It is a county deed. But
It's a sign out, yeah, yeah.
Usually
But
when
it's
the first,
associated with a tax sale. So
usually with that first sentence, I usually just put what was exactly on the agenda, and
Okay.
county deed was on the agenda. So, but I can.
county deed, and maybe put the number of it on there.
Okay.
There was
I
discussion.
put in there,
On said deed. on
county deed
Yeah.
For
pertaining to what's and such parcel number.
Okay.
There was discussion on the county deed that was presented for property that was not sold as tax sale and would be sold to city people.
I was having issues with that
Yeah.
too.
There was discussion on how to transfer the deed from the county to the city of Cooperstown.
The property, not the deed.
The property.
Right.
Yeah.
The deed transfers
Yeah,
the
there was
property.
discussion on how to transfer the property.
Oh, Sean?
Yes.
Sean,
Okay.
Stefan is here.
Da-da-da.
Oh, Christmas presents.
Yeah. Trade you.
I don't want them, the other guys got the big envelope.
Yeah, that's bad.
Well, I don't know if it's bad.
This time of year. figured out what you wanna do, John?
Well, okay, so after we did the county deed thing, then there was discussion on the county deed that was presented for the property that was not sold at tax sale and would be sold in the city of Cooperstown. So we replaced that with, there was discussion on how to transfer the unsold tax sale property to the city of Cooperstown.
Sure.
Got it.
You make these things like somebody actually reads them,
Well, at least we should make it so somebody can actually.
can understand them.
We have a little bit of benefit, we were here.
Yeah, yeah. Was there anybody here to buy any of the things?
We
Nothing?
only had one thing, and nobody came.
Nobody came?
One person showed up to bid on a parcel in Jesse, but the people that own it had already been in paid taxes,
Paid up a little bit.
so we didn't have to do anything with that one.
Okay,
Send a deed.
What document was that, Troy? Chairman Olson to sign the document, is it?
The county deed.
Yeah.
It said county deed right on the top of it.
Yeah, okay. Good set of document.
Okay. Okay, I need to see that wording one more time.
Yes.
No, this one.
Discussion, transfer the unsold tax sale property to the city. Make sense?
Yep. Perfect.
We approved the November 22nd meeting minutes as amended and dispense with reading.
Been moved by Dale to approve the November 22nd commission meeting minutes as amended and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Look at the bills.
We just have one that needs to be an add-on. It's for DNA Mobilities for $472.04, and that's Travis's.
Right, what's it for?
Our server backup, server IT support, and IT miscellaneous.
That's a monthly recurring charge?
Mhm.
Oh.
Yep.
I went and visited with Connie. If you guys noticed that advance taxes or something, what's that thing called? On page 5 there, right in the middle of the page, it says advance tax expense.
Yeah.
That's actually like a prepaid taxes account. So then when they print the tax statements, people prepay their taxes if they don't want to have a big tax bill. So then that builds up in that account, and then when they print the tax statements, then they credit people,
yeah.
they debit that account and credit people's tax statements.
Okay.
So that's how that goes away.
Okay, so page 5 on the road new Binford building account. I still haven't got that straight in my head how we did that. I know how we were supposed to do it, but I don't know how we did it. That has a negative balance.
It's just because there's money in that fund, but there was no budget for it. Within the budget, we transferred the money from last year to this year, so the budget is 0, but there is money in there. If you look at your revenue account for that.
Okay, so we need to amend then that budget to create the funds available to be ready. Right, because we can't let it have a negative balance.
Right, it doesn't, but it does
Well,
within, yeah.
yeah, so because otherwise it's going to affect the carryover for next year's budget. It's gonna be less whatever amount of money we spend here. Right. So for next meeting, write up a budget that's going to account for all the money that's gonna be, that we transfer. We transfer how much? $30,000.
Do we want to amend it after the building's done, so, we're
No,
not,
we
it's
need
not
to
gonna be
amend it.
done?
We need to amend it before the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be done then, huh?
It's not.
We transferred $61,907.34.
For this budget year, and how much, and we've spent only 18,000 of it?
You've spent,
It's prepaid.
Some of it was prepaid, right?
Prepaid
Yeah.
for the plywood and
Right,
Material or some of the
in order to
material.
get that discount, or whatever, to lock in that price.
okay, so,
So today we're paying for more materials.
right,
And I think, I talked to Dave from Stoughton and he said it would be like the roof or the metal sheathing is left, and the
And the labor.
doors and stuff.
okay, so we need to create a budget for the 61, the total amount of money that we transferred. Create a budget for that, for the building. And then before the end of the year, we really can't carry it over into next year's budget. We need to write the check into a trust account or something to pay for the building that we paid for this year that is going to actually transfer the money next year. So, I mean, that's the way I kinda wanted to do it before. I wanted to set up a trust account and put an escrow account and put it into an escrow account. So that the money was paid out this year and will stay on this year's books and then can be paid out after the project is finished. But for now, for next meeting, get it, or before the end of the year, get it so we have a budget. And then that'll fix this 18,000, that'll make that now a $43,000 positive,
right.
okay? Troy answered my other question about that 27,000. The negative on the house bill is because we haven't received the money yet, correct? The 42,000. Page 5, road, house bill 1176, that's an in and out account, is that right?
I think there's still some money there. Should be, because we gotta finalize projects, right? Yeah, I think you've drawn everything down.
But I mean, it has a negative balance.
Oh, unless it's, because
That's,
the Hannaford Road project was combined, Senate Bill 2103 and House Bill 1176 funds, it was both. So maybe that's what the difference is. I don't know how you guys are tracking it on this end.
Is there money in the Senate bill fund?
The idea was to spend all the Senate Bill 2103 funds down to zero and then,
yep, there's money in the Senate bill.
And how much?
74,690.
Yep, so that, and,
and then we still have to pay the retainage to.
right. So we're gonna need to transfer, or we're gonna need to invoice so that we take care of this negative balance here. But I don't know if we can transfer money between the Senate and the House bill.
We're gonna expend all the funds from the one.
Senate bill,
Yeah.
right?
We already
Smaller
expended
amount,
more.
and then there's, was the 1156
We already expended $42,000 more than was in that fund.
in the 1176 one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the other one was moved out. Or the other one, or?
The other one should have been drawn to zero first before we did
That
it.
was from the previous session.
Right. So
We're gonna have to back up.
you're gonna have to unwind that.
Mm-hmm. And take the Senate bill money down
Down to zero.
Zero. which
And there
will
should
then
be a balance
which
left.
will then increase the House bill funds up, so we have a positive balance of $18,000.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think the bridge project, the box culvert. Is there still, do we still need to transfer some from that too? Do we pay the county for the local share, or do we pay it directly out of that? Already? The local share? Let's look into that, how do we get- But as far as the state's concerned, for those two funds, we just have to submit our final project document for final certification to both that one and the Hanford Road. Once we pay the retainage to Gilbertson for the Hanford Road. Rather than all paid out. And they sign off on it.
So the other one, the state tax expense that has negative balance, page 6. Third one from the bottom.
The 19,000. Let's look here. I'm pretty sure that's got a negative balance because we didn't have a budget. Like it's just when we get the money, we send it out.
In an own account.
Yeah, so I don't put a budget number, so then it just ends up to be zero.
Oh, that's that 1 mil?
Yep.
That's what that is.
Be nice to label those somehow, so we don't have to, I don't have to bother you every time we ask those questions of in and out accounts. And then the only one other was.
Well, once we, like, if you look at the budget, isn't that mill in there?
It is.
Absolutely is.
But there's no budget, separate budget for it.
I don't put it in within decor programs because it's like any money that we get, we just pay out. It's
It's
Doesn't-
fine that way, to have it in an own account, as long as it's, we don't, the only reason to put it in the budget would be so that we don't ever overspend what we're entitled to. And then the 2,100 on general treasurer supplies, what happened there? You don't know?
nope, she just went over.
I wish we would have first. Vouchers.
You guys budgeted $1,000 for her.
What's that?
You guys budgeted $1,000 for her. For supplies and materials.
And she spent 3,100, what was that about? We don't know,
Want to have her come in and
shouldn't we know?
I think
Yeah, that
it's
should
like
probably be
her printer supplies and stuff like that.
Oh. Well, we didn't budget $1,000 for
Yeah,
her,
that
she
could be
did.
where that's coming from.
Hmm? Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I mean, in 17, there was spent $940, and in 18, we spent 650, and 19 spent 3,104.
That's something got put in the wrong place.
That's what I mean. Seems strange that would happen.
Is Connie here?
Mhm.
Yeah, why don't you have her come over?
Okay.
I'm sure she's got a good explanation.
Sure, the explanation for it.
That's been over for a while, looks like.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She'll be right in. She's just with somebody right now.
You wanna move on to the office
Yeah,
reports?
that's fine. It's nothing serious, man.
No.
Something must just got put in the wrong place.
Look at the monthly office reports while we're waiting for Connie to wait on her person.
Move to approve the office
Hi,
report
Connie.
as
Hi,
presented.
Connie.
We just had a question on, yeah,
Bill bill?
Huh?
The bill bill? Is that what it was? No?
Isn't that office supply?
Yeah, that would be the bill.
What, did you have an extraordinary, expense in 2019? Where, the budget's like $2,100 to the negative. So we were kinda wondering if either something happened that hasn't happened in the past few years, or if something got categorized wrong or something in the general
It
ledger.
was, I had extra, toner I had to buy because we used Maddie's printer. My printer, the drum is going out, so everything's shaded, shadowy. So I didn't wanna use that for statements, so we used Patty's and then had to order another toner for hers. Then we switched and used the copier, which we probably should have been doing all along. But so there was extra toner for that, and then I had gotten extra toner for my machine too, that I probably shouldn't have, because now the drum's going out. So,
But those drums aren't hard to put in usually.
no, and that's what I thought I'd do now, is order drum, but I can wait till
yeah, on, so
till the
that,
new year to order the drum.
well, we were just thinking something must have got classified wrong, cause, 17, it was $904 it was spent, next year it was up to 700, and now it's $3,100 has been spent on that
Oh.
account.
I'll
And
have to
that
look
can't
at
be,
it.
that can't be toner and.
Oh, no, it was probably my vacation.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at
It should have showed up on the visa.
Yeah,
shouldn't it?
yeah.
Well, that's what the CAVO means, cobble.
Alright. No, I will look at that because I don't.
Guy,
think
I mean,
I had
something must have got put there
in the
instead
wrong
of somewhere
spot,
else,
yeah.
yeah. Cause it's, so it's $3,100 compared to,
Yeah, to 900 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Just seemed like it was, there
Yeah.
must have been something that slid into the wrong column.
And I didn't catch it, sorry. I'll look.
Okay, thanks, Connie.
Thank you. Oh, I do have one more.
For Connie?
Yep,
Oh.
Okay.
it's in, as long as we're in the bills. In the, on the water board,
Uh-huh.
where do the, so I'm looking at this month's water board statement.
Mhm.
And it shows a balance left in the budget of $43,680.
Okay.
And last month, it showed a balance of $44,703. Except the expenses that were okayed are a lot more than that. Where did the,
Rick,
where does,
Well-
where like for the, so I'm looking at the payments like to the members and that kind of thing. Where does that come out of if it doesn't come out of the budget?
those payments come out of the budget, but anything TBO4 or joint board comes out down below on that report. So it's not, it's not really coming out of the budget, but that's the money we're using. I just don't know quite what line item to use up in the budget.
Yeah, because, so there's one, see, 300, 500,000, 2,000. So last meeting, there was, $2,500 worth of expenses approved to be paid, but the budget only decreased by $900.
Yep. And so is this the same one as what you're looking at, the 125174 down below, and then the 1022 up above added up to the 20? Well, that's 2,200. You must be on. This must be this.
I wasn't,
month's.
yeah, I didn't know if the expenses that were approved in this meeting packet were reflective here.
No,
They weren't, so that's why I went
they'll
back, that's why I went back to the
Right.
previous meetings. So anyway, it didn't decrease the budget by the $2,500. The budget only decreased by $900. Where was that, what was that money being
The
drawn over?
difference is down below in the expenses down below. So,
To each drain.
yeah, to like TB04, they spent money on, because we haven't collected anything to use for TB04, we have to use our budget money. But we don't really have a line item, unless I put it all in miscellaneous. I'm sorry to be standing over you, Dale.
Right.
So as far as when I report for, at budget time, I don't remember how I put that in there last year's budget either.
Because what we're doing is we're putting expenses against a budget that does, against a line item that already has a negative balance.
Mhm. Yeah, well, we're hoping at some time to get some of that money back, if TB04 ever gets going and we can put it on the taxes.
Well, I know,
In
but
those
we have
cases.
Silver Creek, we have, I mean,
Mhm.
we've got $65,000 there that's
Yeah.
in the negative. Eventually, the piper's gotta be paid, and so if we're just putting on a charge card here, that's gotta come to an end.
That's a decision for the board, I just do the bookkeeping.
Yeah, I know, no, I was just trying, I've been noticing this as,
Yeah.
and I like the reports, but every time I look at the report, I don't see the
Yeah.
budget decreasing accordingly with the expenses.
Right. It's because of that lower, those things on the bottom there.
Yeah, and if you take those negative balances against the positive balances, this thing is underwater. And I guess that's not a term to use for a water board, but it's,
Yeah,
and eventually that becomes the responsibility of the county in general. I mean,
The Silver Creek, how much do they pay into it a year? Is the city paying
there
into that?
isn't a,
it's
there
never been
isn't a.
set up.
No,
It's
it
not done.
hasn't. It's not even officially Silver Creek.
It was, they just started spending, not
That's
just,
not the Cooper
Yeah,
drain.
yeah.
not just.
Oh, it isn't?
Silver
No.
Creek drain is south of Hannaford.
That's Barnes
Oh,
County and
okay.
Barnes,
County
Stedman
line.
and Griggs.
there's a 3-county board there on that one.
Oh,
But they are still kind of working out
Mhm.
things, so that
Maybe
there
they
hasn't
agree.
not been, a levy set up or anything.
no legal drain set up.
The legal drain is set up, but they ran into problems
Oh,
They're
with
never,
mitigation, and then
right.
it fell apart, and now they've got Stutzman County involved, and
replanning.
It's kind of
Restarting.
restarting it all over again, sort of.
Oh,
But they spent
wonderful.
a whole bunch of money in the meantime, and different boards had different engineers, and they're trying
Yeah.
to get everybody on the same page, and it's not that easy to do.
Oh,
So that, yeah, the county is at risk for that, but that's been that way for a long time.
is that all engineering?
The most of it,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yep.
without a contract, without a bid. It's lucky Trump didn't do it, they'd have him in jail.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you just made a phone call.
Okay, thanks, Connie. He's apparently never jaywalked because I haven't found that yet either.
So anyway, you guys realize that the way the century code reads, when the water board gets to a point that they can't handle their
obligations.
We don't have the ability to say, too bad. We have to come up with the money and square that circle.
Right.
Well, this is money that they have got in their budget previously and spent. It's not something they borrowed.
No, but when they're borrowing, when they're putting
The county's already paid them.
Right.
yeah.
The
but-
counties, the taxpayers have already paid that. It's whether or not the county's gonna get it back.
Right.
I know, but when they're putting their operating expenses against those drain funds that are already a negative balance and not doing it against the budget, that's just running up an expense that we're gonna have to pay.
Makes it worse.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
get
I
it.
mean, their operation of the water board has to go against this year's budget.
Budget.
It can't go against a drain fund that already has a negative balance and hasn't been approved or never will be approved. That's spending taxpayer dollars against their will.
Well, they have no legal drain started.
Yeah, they're both started, but they're not, well, they're the
Not approved.
TBO4 one is, right? Yeah,
TBO is approved, but it hasn't been levied.
no, I know.
Same with Silver Creek has been approved, but it hasn't been levied either.
We've had the vote of landowners, in the district.
If they've been approved, why haven't they been levied?
Because they don't have the plan done yet. Because the Silver Creek, they ran into
They got sued,
mitigation.
litigation, wasn't it?
Yeah, but over mitigation acres.
Oh, okay.
Because they originally, the county NRCS said there'll be no adverse effect. And
Yeah.
then when it came down to it, there was significant adverse effect. And then it, instead of very little mitigation, it was a lot and it got to cost too much. So
Sure.
They had to,
So what the first vote went through and what it was cost per acre got considerably bigger.
yeah, it was gonna affect
Yeah,
one of the landowners. It was gonna, give him more production acres, and their initial guidance was that wasn't gonna be the case. So then he sued them to stop the project.
sure. Hmm. Whiskey's for water and drinking. Whiskey water's for fighting.
Right. The other thing, I see the sheriff's report doesn't include any of the mileage on the vehicles. He didn't give any of that.
All this
And I
time.
heard on the street that he'd ordered a new car, which he doesn't have any money in his budget to do. Is that correct? Does anybody know anything about that?
On the Durango,
What Durango?
the one we put 20,000 into the budget
Not his budget. It's in the
or
general.
into general fund.
We want to have a
For the
discussion.
of the county commission, because we didn't trust him with the money, because we thought he might go order a vehicle against our wishes.
And we didn't approve to order a vehicle?
Nope, never even knew about it till I heard it on
Well, I
the
don't know if he
street.
ordered, I don't know if he ordered.
I don't even
one.
know if it's true.
The reason, Mark, the money was in the general fund was just for that point, so that we could decide as a group when and what vehicle was gonna be purchased and what was gonna be traded in.
We are
Oh.
involved with all capital purchases at
Yep,
the county.
yep.
Wayne doesn't go build buildings and buy
No,
equipment without
no.
us. And that's the way this was set up.
Well, I hope
And
that
I'm
isn't
just
the
wondering,
case.
I don't know.
And I don't know.
So
that.
you know he ordered a Durango, is that?
I think so.
Well, then he must order it for his personal use, because that has not been approved.
Oh. I thought we did. Are we going
We
to?
put the money in a budget so that we had the ability to decide when and if and what vehicle was gonna be purchased, because we had questions on how many miles were on the vehicle, what should be
Yeah,
traded in,
yeah.
what vehicle should be used.
Yeah. Are we going to?
Hmm?
Are we going to?
Nobody's given us a presentation and asked us to consider purchasing a vehicle. So no,
Okay.
we're not.
Then I guess we better get a presentation then.
The reason it wasn't in his budget was just, he proved our point,
Okay,
that he wasn't to be trusted with the money without including us in the discussion, and he didn't. But now he did it without even having any ability to access the money. If that's what happened, I don't know if that's what
Yeah.
happened.
It's hearsay at this point, but
Right.
apparently he told you.
yeah, I thought we were on the mindset. I thought June or whatever, we had talked about it.
We made the
We
budget,
did.
we put the money in the budget,
Yeah,
not in his budget.
okay,
Knowing that we have vehicle replacement coming up down the road.
We started 2 years ago.
We
to-
put the money
Yeah.
in the general
Yeah.
fund, general budget, I mean,
yeah,
so that we could make the decision when the time came. But
Okay.
we have to make the decision because it's in our budget, it's not in
Yes.
his budget.
yeah, okay,
Does that make sense?
sure.
And it was done for a purpose.
And he
Okay.
didn't, and he did not, he wouldn't tell us that he was gonna do it, so.
Oh. Okay. Next meeting, we'll have to have a discussion. If we can.
No, we can.
I think we got
Oh, that's it.
190,000 or something like that on the, yeah. So we'll get mileage and have that discussion. Unless he's
I
here.
mean, we can't allow that, wait to have a Bobcat.
Yes. We'd probably have a fourth maintainer too.
Okay, I thought that was,
We'd probably have a fourth maintainer.
there's still money in there. We could have used it in the building. I had to hire somebody.
In fact, he's probably got it equipped now, probably ordered right now.
So, that's all
Well,
I
hopefully
have.
that isn't true, but I guess it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, they could sell a Durango.
They can
Yeah.
sell it right now.
Yeah.
I need a motion for the bills.
Oh. Sean already attempted to make a motion on the monthly operating reports, but I didn't recognize him, so.
I did make a motion. Good attempt.
Is there any other questions on the bills?
I make a motion, we approve them as presented with the one addition.
DNA.
Yep. For DNA Mobility Inc. Yeah.
It's been moved by John that we approve the bills as presented with the addition of the DNA Mobility Inc. bill. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Been moved by Sean to approve the monthly operating reports. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Wayne?
I guess, page 26 and 27?
26 and 27.
Well, then you can't answer the question either.
October 15th is stated.
Yeah, yeah. So it appears,
Looks like the state or someone has voted on to take over all the bridge inspections, underwater and above. Underwater is the scour reports. And pin inspections, and they are gonna advertise for RFP to hire consultants for the routine as well as underwater fracture and critical pin inspections. So all the bridges that are inspected every 2 years, I think it is. So I can't really explain much about it, but in the past, the county road department would go out and measure the scour report on the bridges. You have each bridge has a certain place where you measure each time, and you have a tape that you put down and measure. See if the bed is moving around or whatever, so. But it would be 80.93% paid with federal funds, which I imagine would be the bridge funds, and 19.07% go back to the counties.
So this is a done deal?
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it. Just looked at it about 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago.
What does on inventory mean?
Inventory is all the bridges that, like Griggs County has 20 bridges or whatever.
I know, but I know two of them
They
that
gotta
are
be
closed.
so long, you know, the length.
You know, what I was getting at, Wayne, is I know two of them that are closed, and it says county bridges that are closed but remain on inventory will still need to be inspected.
Yeah, so they're not on inventory.
The Yulin Bridge and the one up north,
The one up north, which one?
Overby Bridge.
Yeah, that's not on inventory.
Neither is the one down by my place.
Right.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, you know this is gonna drive up costs. Anytime they give it to a private entity and the entity gets to bill the government back and the government, the state gets to bill us, as it says right here.
Right.
Suggested the option of either outsourcing county bridge inspections and bill back to the counties, or have the NDAC hire their own full-time inspectors. We didn't wanna do that, so now we're at the mercy of whatever the state deems is a fair price. We're gonna have to pay the sheriff.
Yeah. If you should have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to your local government engineer, Paul Benning, 713-2370.
So our option is to close the bridge, take it off the inventory, right?
Well, we can't really close the bridges. You know, the ones that are on would be all the ones that we drive over.
Yeah.
You know, the Decker Bridge, still on inventory.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the rest are, well, some are even box culverts, they're still bridge inspection. So,
They're 20 feet or over.
Townships have, I mean, how about like that 1 mile east of Dan Odegaard's there? That's not a bridge?
at least to be on Woodguards, you know, that little one down the valley there. That is the county's responsibility.
Right, is that would be on,
That's not any inspection, so.
okay.
And anything that's less than 20 feet.
And then the box culverts, I think you can request that it go, be dropped to 4 years. I think I've heard it.
When a government entity creates rules and regulations that benefits a
The
private
bureaucracy.
entity and then makes that mandatory back to another government entity, that's called rent seeking. I mean, there's, it's the same thing as a government entity creating a license in order to braid hair. Unnecessary, but provides an income, and someone's gotta stand up to this crap.
Destroys more income,
It sure does.
or wealth, I mean.
Can we send a letter requesting not to participate? That we're gonna do what we're gonna do?
No, because they hold a liability issue over you.
We've still had state inspectors come
Yeah.
up and inspect the bridges.
Right, but
And
now
then
they
we
don't
get a
wanna do
bill.
that, now they wanna turn that over to a private entity and let the private entity bill. Like I said, they created an opportunity for private entities to make money without the government entity having any say over what was gonna be billed.
Right.
Rent seeking.
Do we at least get to pick the person who inspects?
No,
You just do it and,
Send us a bill.
North
Send-
Dakota DOT.
Do it.
The same guys that are grinding the highways up.
yeah.
No, they do us and
Those
send us
guys are gonna make this call for
19.7% of the bill. And if we don't do it, they'll say that it's a public liability and we're
Yeah,
putting the public in danger.
I suppose the state would pull our liability insurance if we don't play.
I'm sure that
Anything else, Wayne?
Yeah.
I guess on that bridge thing, the DOT hasn't put out the RFP yet. So far, on November 21st, they had posted a deal on their qualifications-based selections webpage that just let the consultants know that was happening and what requirements they would have to follow to be able to put in
All part of the process, severely limit the competition.
Narrow the
Prices
field.
can get- Narrow the field, so prices can get jacked up.
Well, and then most of the larger consultants in the state would be able to meet those requirements, I think.
You just proved
But
my
it's pretty
point.
much
What would you
anybody
just
that
say,
can-
larger consultants?
Pretty much anybody that can design a bridge.
There again.
Inspect one.
There again.
Mostly. There is a class I think you have to take.
If we're talking about engineering, how did we ever come along on that pool thing? Did we ever get anything going with that? We were gonna start a engineering pool.
We didn't because it was dependent, or in my mind, it was dependent on the state, the House and Senate bill monies being at or near what they had been in the past. And the way it looks, that's not gonna be the case. I think for the next two years, when the pots get full, we're at 800,000 for the biennium, I think, is that what it was? So that kind of money, $800,000 worth of projects wouldn't generate enough income to pay for a full-time engineer,
Yeah.
or even a pool engineer. And I don't think, you talked to Lakota, didn't they, or someone did, talked to Nelson County, and they weren't interested.
But I think he's talking about the pool of engineers. for
Yeah, that we were,
requests.
whenever we have a project.
Oh,
we get
that.
straw.
We do have one more engineer, one more engineering firm that we can access, correct?
And they've been approved and
Yeah.
all that, okay.
I don't
Well,
remember.
nobody's been,
They haven't been approved, but I think we're at some point when the next project comes up, that's
I
when
think
that
we're gonna
process
wait
is
until
probably
the
gonna
money.
go.
Okay.
Good point,
Pretty
though.
much
Good point. When we have projects, we should include a letter to them informing them of
Mm.
what's available.
You can do an RFP on any project you want. at any
Okay.
point. I think what you were talking about before was doing a pre-qualification more or less,
Yep.
that you'd
yeah,
send
Yep.
them up, MSA with each interview firms or whatever, and get proposals from them, and then sign an MSA with each one, and then pick which projects each one would do. Rather than going through the selection process more than once.
Yeah.
a while ago, we talked about those projects, for 21 and 22, but I don't think we decided, I don't know if we have to decide that right now either. But if we were gonna lump all four of them together at one time, maybe get a better price, or if you're gonna do two 1 year and two the other.
What are we talking about?
The chip
So
set
like
projects
chips.
on the
Oh.
program sheet with DOT. Basically, there was two groups of projects, each was 11 miles long, which is probably long enough to get, some economy of scale with bid prices, but including them both together might be a little cheaper. And when they were down in Bismarck, they told us that you can even do them all in 2020, you have to borrow 3.5 years ahead, but some of them, the first two were just done in 2016, so that'd be a little bit, that would only be 4 years, I guess I'd probably give it a couple more before I do those two.
Right.
The other ones that were done in 2014,
You talked about that indentation filling or whatever one day, like where the cracks
The cracks
show
are-
up in the highway.
Yep.
I just drove on some of that not so long ago. That does quite a bit of good.
It does, yeah.
They did some in Macville in the city too, a little bit.
I can't remember what per mile, it's depending upon how many cracks there is per mile. I don't know what the cost of it,
I think the city guys in Macville did that, but it was a cold thing that was a bag product. But that wouldn't be very feasible if you had a lot of it to do.
what they usually have is this batch mixer type deal that has aggregate in there,
And this was
fine
for a month.
aggregate, and the oil, the polymer. And then they have squeegees, different sizes of squeegees, they gradually work up. First they can fill the crack, and then they put another lift after it cools. And it does help a lot, you know, for that pumping. I know they did that down in Barnes County or down there, and they took a grinder, routed it out, and then backfilled it.
Oh, they did? They milled
Took a
it?
grinder, and just, you know, where the groove, where
Just a
the crack was, groover,
Okay,
that wide.
yeah, like 3/4 inch blade on it.
Yeah.
Spirit Lake Tribe did a bunch of that, 5 miles one year and 5 miles the next, and they hired it out, Bargain Incorporated, I think, did the work. And that was the, Gap Mastic 202, I think, was made by Maxwell Products. And so they put down a primer, they clean it out, blow it out first, put down a primer coat, and then put in a lift or two of the material with aggregate in it. It's kind of expensive, but I think it ended up, they had a lot of cracks in their road. I mean, they were every 20 to 40 feet. There was a depressed crack on the roads they were doing, and that was probably 40,000 a mile. So, but
Wow.
it made a huge difference.
On BIA 6 or 4 or what was it?
EIA 21, 20, and 6, and then a little bit right in Fort Totten in the city. And the city of Devils Lake used a different product in town, actually right by my house, where they actually rented the machine and got different stuff that didn't have the primer coat that's made by somebody else. I don't know what that stuff was, but it seemed like the performance was pretty much the same. And they can rent those right out of Fargo. And if you have the staff to do it yourself, that works well too. And it seems like it's held up to a couple, you know, we've had a couple snowstorms up there, and none of it's peeled out when they've been blading. Although they don't really scrape our roads down too good up there.
Well, they didn't scrape as good this time.
Even though it's up there.
Okay, I was just curious.
We had contact with Paul Messner for the North Dakota DES. And of course, we had submitted information as far as the townships in the county, as far as the damage for disaster. Well, we didn't know that the incident period was only around October 9th through the 12th of October.
Oh, wow.
So of course we had done, I know some townships had done, raised some grades up and whatever. Addy Township, like 17,000 or something for raising up the grade. And then he said, grade raises do not qualify. So, okay. And then there was miscommunication between Heartland Consulting and us. And there was supposed to be a site tracker was supposed to have been sent out. That's like an Excel spreadsheet that where you can put all the different site numbers in there, and then you're supposed to have the dimensions of the sites, which we never got. I have it now. So of course, when Maddie sent in the information, we just sent in what they had brought in. A lot of it didn't have measurements and lengths and widths. They'd have 20 yards of gravel. Well, they don't know how much, or 20 loads of gravel. They don't know what a truck is, how many loads or cubic yards there is. So anyway, all they needed was like $10,000 worth of damage in order to get into the disaster, and so you could easily find that in the stuff that did qualify. I know I did like the Ralph grade that was a foot we put on there, and it was in the wrong time period. And we did we raised it up down by Wallen about a foot there by Richard Wallace too, because the road was underwater. So of course we had the gravel, so that's the good thing about us. We had the pile of gravel, we had the trucks and the guys to do the work. But when they had to pay money out to townships to do this work, then it's going to be a little tougher for them if it doesn't qualify. So
That's a short incident period.
Huh?
That's a terrible short
It is.
incident.
It's
But
just
the
that
snow hadn't
snow-
even
just that
melted by
snow
the
thing.
13th.
Yeah, we got it like on the 8th or whatever, the snow, and then 9th through the 12th, storm and its flood. what about all the stuff after that, too? When all the water was running?
That's what I mean. It still is.
It still is. So, we're kinda disappointed, but it looks like I will have to do all the paperwork and stuff. If they know, they realize, of course, that nothing is gonna be fixed now. You know, but they still will probably be working on what the damage is now, and if there gets to be more damages in the spring, then they'll subtract what was done now, the paperwork, off what gets to be done in the spring and wash it away. So, just wanted you to know what I'll be working on that. So I have to get in touch with the townships again, get more accurate lengths and stuff. Then he said, needed, well, I don't know if they need it right now, need a copy of the employment policy, you need a copy of any agreement as far as the maintenance agreement with the townships. So I said, well, we had the township sign a bunch of papers that said Griggs County could apply for the disaster on behalf of them. There's one township I didn't get back. But, so we've got 16 townships that we have maintenance that we do for. He said, well, I'll send you an agreement, and if they want to sign it, then they can sign it after the fact. But, that's about it. I did talk to Dave Scogan. They had loaded the lumber up and ready to haul it up here to Ventford, but then they got that snowstorm. So then they, still inside the shed there, he said, but he wasn't able to get a hold of Wayne. I tried calling Wayne today and he didn't answer, but he will.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be within the next couple of weeks that it won't take long to get the studs up with the plywood and the wood on, so. He said, does it have to be all built out in 2019? That was a question.
That would help.
Because they're gonna carry over. Yeah, I said, well, we could probably, it still might be 2 times, I said, where they meet before, and we could pay. One would be at the end of the year, one would be in 2 weeks.
It should be built out because that, if you don't, just because there's carryover, the budget still is only set at a certain amount to spend next year. So even if there is carryover, it doesn't make a difference. You're budgeted to spend a certain amount for next year. So if there's $50,000 of a carryover and you have like $80,000 budget for next year, you should only actually spend that $80,000, and that $50,000 just is money that didn't get spent and goes into the budget, and that's just that much less we're supposed to tax.
Correct.
Yeah, but there wasn't any budget made, so.
Yeah, there is. So we transferred that money, that's what we were gonna do. The money was transferred and we're gonna create a budget for 19 for the $60,000. So we need to pay it out of 19. Now, whether we pay that to an escrow account and then pay out of the escrow account afterwards, that would alleviate what Jamie's talking about, but he's right. The budget is the ability to pay the money, not the money that's there's in it.
Just because there's money that carries over, it doesn't increase your budget that amount for the next year. So
That's right.
We know that.
So we need to have a final bill for it, so that we can, and put that money into an escrow account. He won't be able to access the money until he's finished. So he needs to bill us for it, and we'll bill it into the escrow account. We'll set one up at the bank, and then when he's finished, he can, with his permission and our permission, he can access the money.
or probably a new account within the general budget probably could be set up.
It's the same thing. That's and then we could manage the escrow account. I mean, it's the same thing. But the check needs to be written out from 19. But he should be able to tell us what's going to, he bid it, I mean,
Right.
he should be able to tell us he should be able to bill us for the amount.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. And Sam's gonna fix that for next meeting, so we'll have a budget for it, and then we'll be good.
I think.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I won't be at the next meeting, or at least not on the 20th. My wife's getting her other knee replaced on the 19th.
Replacing you?
You say me or knee? Yeah. But
If it was you have a lot of time to attend meetings.
okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas, sir. Merry Christmas. They, you know, this will step in for the right away stuff in town. Or did you catch the-
Next thing I have on the agenda is to abate the taxes on the lot that we deeded to the city. Abate the county's portion, right?
Right.
Closest to her.
Yeah, I think we should.
What lots are those?
The old daycare over here by,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
across from Napa.
Yep, yep. Need a motion to do that?
Yep.
Also move.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Sean to abate the county's portion of the taxes on the lot that was deeded to the city at our last meeting. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John? Aye. Dale? Mark?
Aye.
Sean? Aye. Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Tax Director.
I have Connie coming in to speak with you guys about this too. But I do need your guys' permission to run another ad to advertise for the position again, or whatever you want me to do there. They ran for 3 weeks and we didn't get anything, and it's kind of been sitting for a little while now. So I don't know if you guys want to rerun it or.
I make a motion to run it for the next week,
Moved by
3
John.
weeks? Is
or whatever.
that what you said?
Yeah. 3?
Is that what you said?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yep.
Do you wanna wait till after the first of the year and run it for 3 weeks?
Doesn't matter.
Out of the holiday season?
Probably doesn't matter if somebody's looking for a job.
That's right, that's right.
Unless they overspent on the holidays and
Yeah, that's kinda what we're hoping for.
Then we just have a temporary one again.
Yeah,
It's been moved by John that we advertise, or authorize Sam to advertise for a tax director for 3 weeks. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark and Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean? Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
And Connie and I have been getting phone calls about veterans credits, homestead credits, and senior citizen, or the farm exemptions. And that was all through the tax director's office. And now we're kind of wondering what we should be telling people, what's the plan.
Send them the form.
Yeah, there's a form for each one of them.
Okay,
We have to approve them anyway. No matter who hands it to them.
right.
Send them a form and tell them that the county commission encourages them to participate.
Okay.
I think we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Does VSO take care of the veterans kind of?
Mm-mm. I don't think so.
I don't think he takes care of them, but he keeps them informed about it, I think.
I thought he helped them fill them out.
Maybe
Yeah.
it does.
Help them fill them out if they can help.
I mean, he's really good. He's a
Yeah.
good guy.
Yep,
Yeah, I think he has helped people fill them out.
and encourage them to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to run the ad in the paper encouraging people to do that.
You gotta be 50%, I think, disabled in order to qualify.
Is it on your tax
as a
statement?
veteran.
Oh, do you? You have to be disabled? Oh, I didn't know
Veterans
that.
do? Oh.
I think so.
Anyway, you have the forms.
I don't, but I can try and find.
They're someplace. I mean, they're state forms.
Good weed officer should be able to find them.
Gosh, it's got to be more than I bargained for.
You're gonna need one about 3 feet long.
You thought weeds literal?
All the weeds that are around.
It's anything that comes up.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
You've heard the phrase deep in the weeds? Well,
Christmas list would get a lot smaller if you were tax director.
huh?
If you were tax director, your Christmas list gets a lot
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah.
Sam Jennifer probably has some time, and if she does, I can have her maybe handle some of that stuff.
Okay.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, we should try to promote that. We're trying to promote that.
We're talking about it. So.
Connie? Hi.
Get it all decided? I don't
Well, you were talking about how like David and the other tax directors had gone out to some of these places, right?
For the homestead credit, some of the elderly that don't leave their home or don't want to go on the ice or something, he or, I know Barb Anderson did it, Patty did it, would go to their homes and help them fill out the forms. I don't know how many there were, probably not too many, but
Can we assign somebody to do that and pay them out of the tax director's budget? I mean, could your secretary do that, Jamie?
And talk to her and see if she'd be comfortable doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a list of people that have called, or?
no, I haven't been keeping a list. I've only had maybe 3 or 4 calls.
Oh,
And a couple people at the window. But there is a list of people who get the letter that goes out
Right.
and the application.
so we don't, those are the people that have participated in the
Yeah,
past.
the last year, yeah.
Do you have any idea which ones couldn't make it out of their homes?
Maybe when I look at the list, I might.
Okay,
My mother was one of them.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I don't know who the others were. I think there was one in Bidford.
Make sure we get that list and get those people helped.
mm-hmm. So you're gonna talk to, there's-
Yeah, I'll talk to Jennifer and see if she's
I
interested.
mean, it'd be a paying job, of course, you
Yeah.
wouldn't expect it for.
It doesn't sound like there's a lot of them. We certainly gotta reach out to those that can, need help.
So when the letter goes out, I mean, did the letters go out this year?
No, that's the other question, who sends those out? I mean, that's the tax director's job. So
Or the weed
that has to be
officer?
done, and the farm exemption forms have to go out, and the veterans credit forms. So,
You said that with such a good straight face.
Well, I mean, the tax director had done that. I don't necessarily believe it's specified as a tax director's job. It's a job of the entity, the county. I mean, it's the county government's job to inform the citizens of what they're entitled to. So, let's do that.
Who's ever got time?
I don't think that'd be a bad idea to run an ad in the paper
No,
No, I remember
for
I
both
talked
the
about that
homestead
before
credit
when-
and
When we originally hired them.
veterans credit.
We had that talk that I thought that was, rather than going and trying to take people's money, why don't we go around and try to save people money? Evidently, I didn't explain it correctly.
I think,
If you do that, though, you better have somebody available that can answer those questions, because there might be people with questions. There's a criteria for,
There is, and it's fairly well spelled out. It's an income level on the homestead credit, correct?
I have some brochures, and I'm sure there's some in the tax
Yeah.
director's office.
It's a state-funded and mandated project, because
Hey,
they
we get
reimburse the
reimbursed.
county.
No, I know.
Yeah,
if
And the veterans credit is reimbursed also.
yeah.
we might not have to send out letters this year. If it's like the farm homestead credit, you only have to qualify once every 3 years.
No, but you have to apply every year. You have to qualify, you have to meet the qualifications every 3 years, but you have to apply yearly.
Is that how it's
Yeah.
worded? Okay.
Correct, Tony?
I think so.
Yeah, you have to hit the threshold once in the last 3 years, but you
Yes.
have to apply for it every year.
Okay. Just
And
kinda
this year,
hoping.
there's a new form that goes out with it. So they changed the original form a little and added another one.
The state must have the forms, though, don't they?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
they're gotta be standardized, otherwise how would they administer the thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're PDFs, so they can be filled in with the names and the descriptions and all of that, which is what the tax director's office has done in the past.
Would your secretary, Jamie, have time to help with that maybe? Sending them out?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think she could help some.
Yeah, let's see if we can.
Like you
make
said,
this
you
happen.
gotta ask, you can't just tell her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask her if she's interested in running, and she likes to stay busy, so if she has some free time, I think she'll be fine.
Okay. Somehow or another, just so we get it done.
So what should we tell then, somebody who calls, just that somebody is going to be doing it? So,
Does somebody have access to those lists?
mhm,
You do?
I do, yeah.
Do you have the text yet?
Well, and Jennifer, Travis can make it so she can get that access to it. If she decides to do that.
Yeah, I'll see if she's interested in it, Sam will.
Okay.
I think they're just a 2-page form, it's pretty simple, isn't it, if I remember right from seeing them anyway?
Yeah, there's not much to it.
The homestead credit one, yeah, it's just one page and the directions on the back.
If it's been done in the past, you can use the past year as a template.
Is it 100 people, or what are we talking about?
60 maybe? Around there.
So not that many. Okay.
And then maybe 10, 12 veterans, I don't know.
Okay.
The farm exemption though is quite a few. Do you want, was she gonna look at doing that too?
Well, I can talk to her and see whatever she can, whatever she has help to do. I mean, I don't think she'll be able to do it all, but there are probably some walls in the day where I don't know stuff for her to do.
How do they get their, you know, just thinking, I thought it was 50% that the disabled, that in order for the veterans to get it. But how do they come up with that 50%?
They get a letter from the VA telling them what percentage they're disabled. Some are 50, some are 20, some
Yeah,
are
yeah.
80. There's a few that are 100%, so.
You know,
And they have to bring a copy of that or bring it in so we can copy it, or somebody can copy it.
I'm just thinking like of Roger Nelson now when he's going through all the cancer,
Mhm.
is there temporary things like that, or
That
I suppose that's something he's gotta work through?
That's probably
Yeah.
not a service-related disability, so
Right.
probably isn't.
But I think as you're more disabled and those sorts of things, as you get older, I think you do qualify.
Could be.
You know, so if you got a bad knee or something like that,
Yeah.
you know, that brings you along,
Well, and I think usually the vets have a yearly checkup and then
yeah.
they'd have that and then they get the letter telling them if they're more disabled.
You know, even Frank Jessup with his knee replacement, those sorts of things now. Of course, that's a temporary thing that they gotta go
Yeah.
through. I don't know, we'll have to encourage them to reach out to the VA and see how they treat those things.
Mhm. And will she just be compensated for at the same rate she's getting as secretary now? Or do you?
I would assume so.
That's something you should decide before, so she knows.
Well, if it's done during working hour, if she's got time to do it during the day, yeah, I
Yeah,
would say
I-
so.
Yeah. I would guess that she would ask for mileage and reimbursement of course, if she decides that she wants to go out and help people fill out the
Sure.
forms.
Oh, yeah,
I'll speak with her about it and give you guys some
Okay.
information for the next meeting.
sounds good. Okay. That work? Thanks, Connie.
Yeah, thank you.
NDSU?
Oh, this is the email I got from Kim here a little while back. You know, originally she wanted to meet with the board today, I guess it was, but I know she's had some health troubles and stuff, so I think this Rita is filling in, taking her position temporarily, so she just sent an email with their progress so far, and then they're gonna wanna meet with the board March 6th, I guess, after they, I guess they're gonna try a survey around the community and stuff, so. I think they formed a committee too, I think.
I probably have a little bit for you guys. Nelson County Extension Agent just left too. I think today was her last day.
Oh, yeah?
Friday was her last day. So we did discuss potentially looking for doing something with another county.
Hmm.
I don't know how appealing that would be to someone in extension or not, but that's a possibility.
Well, the two counties together aren't any bigger than Stutzman or Barnes or.
Yeah.
Well, the population of both counties together isn't even the population of Valley City or Jamestown. So, I find it hard to believe that NDSU does not require it,
Require what?
counties to combine.
Oh,
So in talking with Bruce
I just
and
find
Terry Trainer from the Association of Counties, there was at one point, I don't think it was Kim, but I think the district person before Kim misled you guys in saying that the Association of Counties stated that every county needs to have an extension agent. That's not the case. They want every county to have coverage of an extension agent, but not that each county doesn't need an individual extension agent, but they want coverage for everyone. So in that case, counties joining up, I don't see why it isn't possible.
people can get by pretty good the way it is.
The biggest concern there with here is of course 4-H. There's a pretty good 4-H program up there as well.
But-
Pretty
yeah.
big achievement.
But if NDSU would just relinquish their grip and let the 4-H be handled from somebody within the county rather than have those credentials, it would solve that. I mean, putting money into a budget now, no doubt 4-H was a wonderful deal, and it is a wonderful deal, and the county agent was a wonderful deal, but times have passed and gone by. The crop scouting and all that's, that's all gone.
Well, and I would say that it's pretty rare probably that a farmer doesn't have their own crop scout or consultant or an agronomist that they can consult with that they buy seed from or fertilizer or chemical.
So the 4-H thing is good, but it needs to be on a temporary basis and whatever. I mean, otherwise, at some time we have to say, okay, well, yeah, this is a wonderful deal, but is it beneficial, fiscally beneficial to do that? I mean, almost akin to putting money in the budget to buy typewriters. They were a wonderful deal at one time, but not anymore. And everybody hates to let go, but we don't have a county agent now and haven't had one for quite a while, and my phone hasn't been ringing.
No, mine either. If we could get, like what we had
Yeah, I
a gal come in for 3 months.
agree.
Well, and if you do hear anything, it's just about the 4-H, not.
Right,
No.
and we gotta cover that, we can get that covered.
Right.
Yeah,
No.
but NDSU's gotta be a little bit flexible, and I assume that their whole survey thing here is gonna be more about propaganda than survey. Their conclusion is, no, you guys need a full-time county agent.
Second best option is if we could share one.
Yeah, right,
Well,
no doubt.
it's kind of been our contention for
Yeah.
a long time.
And we
That's
got
what
it
I mean,
down to 40%.
NDSU should just require it.
Mhm.
Since they can't fill them anyway.
Exactly.
Because if there are questions of an agent, or they answer the phone, that doesn't make much difference.
Now, before our last county agent left, I had a little visit with her. And, you know, she had a master's. And she made the comment, you know, we don't have to hire somebody with a master's. It wouldn't cost us as much. And
Well, she wasn't getting paid for her education, though.
yeah,
I mean, we knew she was overqualified when she applied, but she was the only applicant, and that was the only reason she applied here is because she's local.
yes, yep, yep. So we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Do you need a motion to explore the opportunity of sharing a county agent with Nelson County?
Well, I don't think you need a motion. I mean, someone can just take it upon
Somebody
themselves.
just needs to reach out and talk to him.
But I know that was one of the things that they talked about was going forward and reaching out to Griggs and Walsh County and Ramsey County. I think.
See, they weren't before, right?
What's that?
They weren't interested
before.
last
No,
time.
they weren't interested because the agent
had
didn't
one.
want to. They had an agent and the agent wasn't interested in working in two counties.
Right.
She left and she horizontally filled the position in Grand Forks. Or laterally filled, I should say.
Sean, you wanna reach out and see what they say, since that's your thing? Talk to them, tell them we're
Talk to
interested.
Bruce, just mention it to Bruce and.
You got his
let her
number?
go-
You
let
got his
her-
number?
No.
I can call him too.
Bruce or
Okay.
Ellen, I think, or Nancy, any of those three, I think, probably.
Let's give Bruce a call. I don't know.
Interested in seeing what it look like.
If they're interested, they're interested. If not, they're not.
Sean, I think it's 741-7825.
Okay. Commission meeting calendar for 2020.
You have two.
How come it says 2019 on here?
Yeah, John's pointed that out. I was worried about the dates.
It's almost over.
I know. So you have two. If you guys would like to continue the 2 meetings a month or go to 1 meeting a month, that's up to you. And then the tax or the budget hearing is going to be on October 9th at 6 p.m. Do you guys want to move your regular meeting to later that day?
To 4:30 or 5 or something.
Whatever.
Might as well.
You guys had talked about that this year or whatever, so I can just make sure that that's.
And the year before.
I know, look at me, huh?
Yeah.
I was all ready to say it. You did it before me.
What time do you want that October 9th meeting, guys?
5.
Well, I never get done in an hour. I never.
We did this year.
Huh?
We did this year.
With the meeting prior?
Yeah.
Did we?
Let's go leave a little bit of room in case we haven't finished all the budget stuff.
4:30.
We're talking about it.
4:30?
Yeah.
4:30 it is.
4:30? Got
I
it.
get the room back. We can recess it anyway. So.
Is there a motion to approve the regular meeting schedule for 2020.
Well, which one do you want to do?
What?
One meeting a month or two?
Oh, I thought this was the whole.
Yeah, no. One or the other.
You lobbying?
Oh, I'd like one meeting a month. That would be wonderful, but that's totally up to you guys. I've been trying to push for the one meeting a month for a few years now, but
Yeah, I think our job is supervision. I think to look at it, coming to the office once every 2 weeks isn't really a stretch.
What I notice is it's way easier to keep up on the bills.
Yeah.
When we were having one meeting a month, it would seem like we were having special meetings all the time anyway.
And they're not that long when you do two, when you split
Right.
it anyway, so.
Yeah.
I'd rather not come to town twice, but I'd rather do the two meetings just because they're short. You're not
Yeah.
here for 3-4 hours.
Especially the second one of the month is usually pretty short.
So I guess I agree with the two.
Would it help, Sean, if we pushed it to 3 o'clock instead of 2:30? Would it make any difference?
He doesn't work Fridays.
Oh, okay,
That's why we're having them on Fridays.
yeah.
That's why it started that.
And I'd love to see him back on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or something. Fridays is bad. We're ready to leave, get the hell out of this country for a while, and he screws it up.
Come back on Tuesday.
Yeah, I know it.
I'd make a motion we approve the 2020 meeting schedule for 2 meetings per month.
It's still every 2:30 time.
2:30.
Except for October 9th, 4:30.
As presented. Sorry, Tom.
you're just fine.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Where are we at? South Central Regional Council.
So you guys got that letter for the dues for the year. I will be sending that out to the cities, asking for their 1/4 of the dues. So
Okay,
I'll let you know when I get all of them, and then we can pay this bill.
perfect. You heard from NDSU on the courthouse deal?
No, I have not.
Okay,
I'll reach out back out to them.
but we did tell them to go ahead, right?
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else on their old courthouse, new courthouse? I see that custodial fee or whatever was in the bills today, that $1,500.
Oh,
Did you notice that?
for the bonds or the courthouse?
Yeah, it was in the new courthouse.
For the what?
It's the, what is that? I
Which
can't
one?
remember.
Which one?
Let me see. Oh, the bills are gone.
Yeah, bills are gone. I can have her bring it back. And you can-
No, that's fine. It happens every year.
It's an annual fee.
Having to do with the bond? Oh,
Yeah. It's not safekeeping, I mean, but it's something to do with maintenance on the, it's on page 6 in the middle of the page there. It's Public Financial Management, Inc. It's $1,500 a year. I mean, we've been paying it every year.
categorize it right next to the bridge inspection rule and regulation.
We'll pay off another tranche of this bond in 2020 when the time comes, and then the rest of the bonds are callable at any point in time after that if we so chose. And I don't, of course, we're not gonna pay off millions of dollars for the bonds in 1 year, but if the interest rates stay like they are, it might be worth taking a look at refinancing them. Maybe not, but who knows?
Can we do that? I don't know.
Once you're called, once they're callable, you can call.
No,
them.
no, but I mean, can
I don't know
a
if it
government,
can
can
be
a government
legally-
entity enter into a, can we have a private debt like that? I'm not sure.
The building authority may have to redo it.
The building authority would have to
Yeah,
do
The
it.
commission can't do it, but the building authority could do it.
Right.
We know the guys in there, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're on there, buddy.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, once
Yeah.
it's done, it's done. If there's money to
Right.
be saved, then who
You bet.
care, you know,
Right.
whatever.
So then that would be done at the same term?
You could do it whatever you
You
wanted.
wouldn't wanna, yeah, you wouldn't.
If you
wanna-
stretch them out any further, the interest rate's not gonna be favorable.
Sure.
I mean, if there's a savings, that would be okay. I would be against paying them off early because a public debt should be spread out over the
More than one-
years, because the public, more than, you
No,
shouldn't
I-
take what's
I
in the
agree.
public and make them pay for something that is gonna be used by a different segment of.
By the next
public later on.
generation.
Right,
No, it's not right to do that,
right.
but it happens.
Oh, yeah. So, what interest rate were these at? They were.
They're all different.
Right, but the farther out they went,
The tranches further out are more expensive, you know.
Well, let's
Yeah.
see what we come up with.
Well, I mean, it's just something to
Yep.
think about as
You
we go
bet. If
forward.
interest rates
We
go
can't do
down.
anything now, huh?
right, yeah, if interest rates stay where we could knock some off, that would be beneficial.
Because
And
those
we're gonna be
were,
at less years too, 'cause we paid off some of them already.
they were, those old ones, like the ones in 22 and beyond, you know, to 33, that was a 20-year bond then, so
Right.
that was probably close to, I'd have to look it up, but
5.5.
probably, no, I don't think they're, at 385 maybe. They're cheap,
Oh, yeah, because of the, yeah.
because they're tax
Because they're
exempt.
tax exempt, right. I was thinking compared to a, yeah, government bond, yeah. But we wouldn't want to decrease the duration, though, we just want to
No.
decrease the payment.
The interest.
That's the only way you could save any money,
Right. And
to keep them short. I mean, you'd be going from a long one to a short one. Basically, you'd have a bond that was priced at a 20-year term, and that once it becomes callable, you can call it, and then you're gonna have a 12-year term.
Right.
Right. Hopefully for,
The overall window, though, wouldn't shorten, the 20-year window wouldn't become shorter.
that wouldn't have to, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Future business.
We will need to discuss having a special meeting to pay the remainder of bills for the year at the very end, right before closing books. So I'll get.
But we have another meeting prior to that,
Right,
right?
yep,
20th?
so I'll have you guys approve that at the next meeting. But that
I'm
should-
having surgery on the 17th, so I might not make that meeting, but
Okay,
I probably will, I don't know.
well, you just let me know.
Christmas present?
I don't know, I hope, he's had 2 tries, I don't know if I should be giving him another one.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Been moved by John, now we adjourn, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale, is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 4:15 PM on December the 6th. Next meeting will be the 20th at 2:30 in this room.